Welcome to Conjecture. Should I say to myself based on what I've learned in my life? Hey guys, so hello. Today I just feel like talking about, you know, how I am trying to mobilize myself towards a good life. And this is something that I was just thinking about a few moments earlier. Now, when I look back at all the goals that I've wanted to achieve in life, and all even the long term ones and the short term ones, I feel that there are certain elements that are common and that I can bring them down to a simple analogy, which includes a monster that's about to eat you, a difficult some difficult shrubbery to get through, and a door to safety, which signifies the goal. So the monster that's about to eat you is the source of worry. That if you don't do something and if you don't achieve the goal, the monster is gonna eat you. That's the source of worry. You right here are you. And the difficult shrubbery to pass through is basically the source of my fear of failure. That, if something's really difficult to get through, and in order to achieve the goal of anything, then obviously, if something is difficult to do, it's going to create some sort of reluctance. And generally, I found myself to be stuck between, the monster that's about to eat you and the difficult shrubbery to pass through. I don't know how it's like for you guys. Maybe it is the same, maybe it's not. Maybe, you guys look at things differently, but this is how I look at things, and I just felt like recording it. Anyways, now, the question here is that there's a certain mindset that can either lead you to be stuck in this situation, or there's another mindset that can result in you reaching the door to safety. So these are the two mindsets that I have been trying to explore and I've been trying to apply in my own life as well. The first one is where the source of worry, or the monster, and the difficulty or the stress of, fear of failure, that's dominating. Now, here, let's just take that first example where all the time I'm just worried about the monster right here. That, every passing moment, the monster is about to get closer. So this could be like, if you don't get a job by a certain age, so you won't be able to settle. If you don't work out enough, then you're gonna get fat and die of obesity and blah 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 blah, and then the monster eats you. So the monster is always coming towards you. Now, acknowledging that the monster is coming towards you is really good. So it's pretty okay to look back at the monster from time to time, and just to accept it, that, yeah, something is gonna catch up to me if I do not pass through this, if I don't work hard through this and get to my goal. Something's gonna fuck me up, I guess. So that's sorry for the language, but yeah, I just got a bit carried away. But yeah, you got to keep looking back so that you acknowledge that something's there and that something's going to catch up to you. But let's just imagine for a second that all you do is, instead of looking back and then looking forward at the things you got to solve, let's just imagine that for a second all you do is you only keep looking back at the monster. So you look at it once, you look at it twice, thrice. It starts to stress you out, and then what happens is that, suddenly you're looking at it and it's coming at you. You're just looking at it and it's coming at you. And because you're so focused on what's coming at you and less focused about what you gotta do, what's gonna happen is, in this case, I know for a fact from personal experience as well, that what could happen most likely is that the monster is gonna catch up and you're gonna be stuck. Now, this is the first case where you're only looking backwards. So the first case where you're only looking back. What does it do? It doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't get you anywhere. So that is one thing that we got to keep in mind. Now, let's look at the second case. Now, in the second case, let's just reset these arrows a little bit. Let's just rub them off. Let's just rub them off. There we go. Now, in the second case, let's say that you look back and you accept that, okay, shit, there is a monster coming at me. So that's gonna initially motivate you, or rather push you, that I gotta do something about this. And when you start looking towards this possible solutions, you realize, oops, there are hurdles that I have to get through in order to get to my goal, right? So that's what you do. You start looking at the goals and you start moving through the goals. Now, in this case, let's say that you start, and the moment you start getting through the initial part of the shrubbery, you realize that it's like super difficult to get through. It's like super difficult to get through, and you're really really sad. Now, and you start to worry whether you'll be able to make it all the way or not, right? So I don't want to be worried at this time. If I worry too much about the long distance that's there in front of me, then I'm just gonna get demoralized, and then I'm gonna look at the monster again, and then there must I might just fall into a trap where I'm just looking at the monster, and I'm worried too much about where I'm going and that I won't be able to make it. Now, in this instant, it's very important that, for me at least, it's very important that, okay, so I acknowledge the monster, I acknowledge the goal, I gotta get through this part. So instead of just, jumping towards either of the conclusions or either of the two things, the best thing to do for me at least is to just look at the goals step by step by step, right? What is the first what's like the first branch of this shrubbery that I got to move or keep put out of the way in order to move forward. And then I take another step, then I take another step. Now at the same time, this silly monster is trying to catch up, right? Now once I've acknowledged it, I don't need to really look at it too many times. Maybe sometime here and there, so that I'm a bit motivated. But anytime I look at this monster too much, if I look at this monster too much, what's gonna happen is that I'm just gonna get down or go down a spiral, and where I'll be unable to move, and I'll just be worrying about this, right? So that's something that I want to keep in mind, that keep your head down. From time to time, it's always great to look at the monsters that are trying to catch up to you, and from time to time, it's always good to look at the long term goal. But the most important thing for me, at least, would be that I would focus on what is the next step. What is the next step that I need to focus on? How can I be so awesome right now that I'm able to move through the next step of shrubbery? And eventually, I'm hoping that once I do this, and I have done this before with swimming competitions, with my and when like I was trying to achieve my goal of becoming a pilot, and this is basically the philosophy that I had forgotten after using it for a long time, and now I'm getting back to it. So I'm also recording it for myself. Yeah. Anyways, let's not go off on a tangent. Now, what I was saying was that instead of just looking at the monster and the long-term goal that's going to be like super intimidating, just focus on the small steps that you got to take through the shrubbery in order to get to safety. And what's the worst that could happen? You won't be able to get to safety, right? So the worst case, if you move through, there is if you start moving through the shrubbery, there is a chance that you might be able to reach safety. But if you don't move at all, you're going to be stuck right here, and the monster's definitely going to catch up to you. So option 2 is that you just like focus on what's next, and then focus on what's next and do a good job at it. From time to time, acknowledge the monster, acknowledge the goal, and just like take small steps, and um, you might eventually reach your goal. So we're gonna call this option two, right? I'm just gonna write it on the right side of the door. So option two. So option two is that you acknowledge. That's I'm just writing the short form for that, please. So yeah, just bear with me. So the second option is that you acknowledge and that you do something about it, right? You do something. Do something. You do something. And what's the worst that could happen? You know, it won't work, right? But because you're doing something, there is a possibility, it is possible to reach your goal. In the previous option, in option one, where you're just looking back and you're intimidated by the goal and you're just looking back and back and back and just worried about the monster, there is 100% chance over here that there's 100% chance over here there is a 100% chance that you're not going to make it to safety and that you're not going to achieve your goal. I'll even highlight this right here, right? But over here, even if there's even if there is like a 1% chance that I might reach my goal or my objective, trust me, that's better than 100% chance for me not, not making it. So 1% of saving myself is better than 100% of getting eaten by the monster, right? So this is what my thought process is these days, and I'm hoping that that I'm able to keep this consistent. Now, one last thing that I gotta tell you guys is that all that I've said over here is basically how I do things. This might not work out for anyone else, right? So I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist. This is just me just putting out there what's going through my mind. So this is or could be just pure conjecture. This might make sense to some of you, it might not, and it's okay. Just do what works out for you, right? So yeah, so here's to hoping that all of us get to our doors of safety. And with that, I'm just gonna end this video. If you've been able to relate to this, it's great. If not, I hope you find something that works for you. So with that, take care of yourselves and goodbye. And thank you for watching how I'm trying to mobilize myself towards good life. See ya.